Hello, you Mayhem Makers. I'm Mindy with Quilting Mayhem, and we are back with another summer sampler tutorial. We're on to block 6, so this is the mosaic, another one that you're going to do multiples of. I do really enjoy this one. It's just two-tone pink if you're following my color layout. Otherwise, you could be doing scrappy, whatever you want. And of course, we're back to our creative grids, 4.5-inch square and the 4.5 by 8.5. These are my two favorites. I use them all the time. The first part of this block we're going to do is flying geese. Flying geese, nice and simple. I am doing a traditional method. So you have a rectangle and you're going to have 2 squares per flying geese that you're making. You're going to have diagonal lines on the back side. So right sides together, just pick a corner. You're going to stitch from one corner to the other. And then you will cut it and press it. So like this. All right, and then you'll just do the other side. So same thing, right side together. We're just going to make sure that we're going to do our diagonal from this top corner down to this center. So we want it to meet in the middle so that it makes a flying geese. All right, this block's been around a long time. So you're gonna make a bunch of these to put around that'll make the star units around that block. And then the center is what's called a square in a square. We're going to start out with your larger center square and then 4 smaller squares, all with diagonals drawn on the back. And I'm going to move the camera so I can show you what this will look like. All right, so what will happen is you will start with opposing corners, and you're going to stitch on these diagonal lines. You're going to trim it and press it. So give me 1 second and I'll show you. Okay, so you've seen we have sewn on the drawn line. We're going to take this 1/4 inch marking that's from the edge, place it on the stitched line so that when we trim it, you'll have your 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're going to do that to both sides. I am going to take it to my iron, press it, and then I will place on the opposite corners with these two and do the same thing. So I'm going to sew on that line, trim, and press. Now keep in mind, I press my seams open. If you are pressing your seams outward or inward or just one direction, you do want to generally press to that darker color. So you would press outward to this darker color, and when we do the other side, you would do the other color, but I'm going to press mine open. It's just, like I said, personal choice. You get to do what you want. All right, so we have our geese, we have our square in the square, and then we have these little corner squares, and we're just going to sew across. We're going to sew these to the sides of this, and then top to bottom to then get this. It'll start looking like this. Make sure when you go and put the top and bottom row on that you pin, especially if you're new, these joins here. See if you can see it. Because I pressed open, I just have to make sure the centers match up. If you press to one side or the other, it does sometimes make it a little easier because they're a little chunky on each side, so they should just kind of nest up to each other. With them being flat, it takes a little more lining up. Now, if you're worried about your points matching, because mine get out of control sometimes, and I've learned to let it go. I'm not making show quilts. I don't care. You just kind of look at it, and you're trying to line up these points, and then put a pin in it so that they don't shift. You can also do this other method if you're trying to line up those points where you take your pin, you put it in the tip of this flying geese, and then you put it in the tip of the other flying geese so that it kind of has a channel to follow to marry them up. And then you just pin it. And then you pin your joins. here. And you do want to make sure that these end corners also are lined up. I just do it when I'm at the machine, but if it's like significantly off, you will want to pin them so that this is all going to line up and be nice and straight, because if this shifts inward, your block will then have a dip in it, and you don't want that. So make sure those beginning and end squares are all the way met in their corners when you go to sew. And then your block will look like this. Happy little stars. So you're going to make this in multiples so that they all fit in with the layout of the quilt. So I hope you've enjoyed this block with these flying geese and that square in the square. It's a happy block. If you have any problems, as always, reach out. info@Quilting Mayhem, call the shop, come see us, message through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, any of them. I will gladly help you. I will walk you through anything that maybe you're struggling with. Just let me know. Maybe those geese aren't quite working for you. Just let me know. I want you to be happy and successful in your block, all right? So I hope you are enjoying this sew along, and we will see you next week. Have a lovely day. Keep on stitching.